Quiet! Fellow armchair Imagineers, Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And welcome to a pulse-pounding recap of Cobra Kai. Season 6, Part 1. It is the SpoilerCast. Oh yeah, Dragon, are you hyped up? Are you ready to go? Are you ready to get into some sleepover feuds?
Am I?
All right, folks. So yeah, I don't even know how popular this is going to be because of the release schedule here is a little bit on the wonky side, but we're going to do it. We're going to kind of push through because honestly, like, I feel like if we were to cover 15 episodes in one podcast, that'd be a little much. We've already covered a few of the other Cobra Kai seasons, so let's just dive right into it, Dragon. Season 6, Part 1, obviously mostly just set up, but I still I gotta tell you, Dragon, for me personally, I think it's getting a little overhated, but what do you think?
I haven't looked into any of the reviews or feedback on it. It's no surprise Cobra Kai, was always at its strongest in kind of the first, 2 to 3 seasons of the show. I mean, I want to say, like, instantly I can say the first 2 seasons because that was kind of like the YouTube era of Cobra Kai. That was before, Netflix got involved. I'm not saying that necessarily as a knock against Netflix. That's just kind of like the show at its purest, like, form. It was the first 2 seasons. And the 3rd season was good for it. And just after that point's when things kind of get a little murky. Now, I don't mean murky in like a bad way, because again, we don't really have any. I don't think we've had any real like terrible seasons. Just 4 was kind of the clunker of the bunch, but not even that. It's very watchable.
The funny thing is, I feel like we've talked about this before, but I feel like you and I kind of we're kind of like in the minority when it comes to 4. I feel like everyone was like so hyped up about Terry Silver, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine, but it's just kind of doing the John Kreese thing again, except a little bit less compelling.
Yeah. So, that's the thing. So 4 was always kind of like, it was kind of the iffy season, and it feels like the goal of season 6 is to bring it to a close in a big way. That's the goal, and I do fear an overabundance of episodes. It does, like, initially I think my hope was that we were going for a 3-act structuring. Based on how this first part has gone, it seems like we're kind of throwing that plan out the window. Now, I'm still
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm still hopeful. I'm still optimistic. It's just, just part 1's very much, we're going through the motions and we're setting things up. Johnny Lawrence is bringing the laughs and the heart, which is what I watch the show for. And but at the end of the day, I think it's consistent. I think it's more consistent with season 5 than season 4, which is a good thing. Like season 5 was like, it was a good groove. It was like, okay, you know what, 5 is very much we're closing up shop. We've seemingly dispatched with Cobra Kai, and we're kind of resolving all the hanging chads in season 6. That seems to be 6 is very much like a companion for the unfinished business of 5.
Sure. So generally speaking, you're liking the direction so far in these first 5?
I'm liking it, but I can definitely see that we might be burning through certain things or stalling in certain, like our pacing might be a little off, but I am enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, man, where it's like I feel like the way that I would feel a lot more confident about the rest of the season if this was the halfway point and not the third of the way point.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see what happens, but it's like now that they're at that, now that they're at the tournament, and that's where we end off, I legitimately don't know how we're going to get 10 episodes of the tournament. I imagine that maybe the third part of this season is just going to be wrap up, but I mean, 5 episodes of wrap up seems a little excessive. So I really don't know. I'm sure that we're going to get at least one post-tournament episode kind of wrapping things up, which is good. I gotta tell you, Dragon, like, the response on this has not been good. Like, I feel like people are really turning on this show just based on the couple reviews I have seen. Sean Chandler was one of the people I saw talking about it, and he really did not like this season. And I gotta tell you, man, I think the season it's been pretty consistent with what the show has been. I agree with you that seasons 1 through 3 are kind of the golden age, and I don't really think we're going to get back to that. But I wasn't really expecting to. And I do think that this first crop of episodes, I feel like, well, it's definitely got some wonky stuff. I think episode 2 was maybe my least favorite episode of the whole series. We'll get into it. I don't know if you feel the same way. Had some really wonky shit in it. Episode 3 had some pretty stupid stuff, but I really think the fight choreography is still very on point. I think the dynamics between all the characters, well, I do feel like they've kind of trimmed down the amount of characters. Like they've like a lot of the very supporting players have basically been neglected to like either the background or like basically their one scene wonders, like Dimitri's girlfriend, for example, and Stingray, God bless his soul. But I do think that we're zeroing in. I really do appreciate how in this season it's almost kind of like setting up dominoes, right? It's like we're at the tournament, but there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of unresolved issues between the team, and I'm excited to see where we go from here. I do think that Dragon, I can't even tell you, Sean Chandler really hated the cliffhanger. And I actually really loved it. I think it was corny. I think we got there a little too fast, but for what it was, I think it was kind of awesome, honestly. So I'm optimistic about it. While I definitely think that episodes 2 and 3 were a little slower, I feel like 4 and 5 were both really good and really got me into it. Yeah, I think we're doing some good stuff here. But again, it's not like the level of quality storytelling that we've gotten in the first 3 seasons, but I don't really think the latter half of Cobra Kai is really trying to be that. I feel like the latter half of Cobra Kai is more kind of trying to just have a fun time with it. So yeah, with that in mind, Dragon, you ready to just dive right in?
Let's do it.
All right. And I have black for the banner. I hope that's okay with you.
All right.
All right. Okay. So episode 1, Peacetime in the Valley. So this is very much our status quo episode. I like this one a lot, Dragon. I honestly like the idea of we're picking things back up, kind of like after the fall of Cobra Kai, after the fall of Kreese and Silver. And I really do like how we're kind of like in this sort of like peacetime era of the show. Daniel LaRusso is very much very much at peace with himself. Johnny Lawrence is about to become a daddy. All the kids actually like each other now. I don't know. I think this was a fun time.
Yeah, it's big thing with this episode. Finally, we named the combined dojo. I like that we kind of start right off the bat with that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I mean, look, Peace Times is fine, and we do. This is very much like kind of like the setup kind of thing. It feels like it's a natural place to start the season off with episode 1. We're gonna like kind of like we're getting into a groove with things where we're showing that we're again like the big hanging threads are okay. We have a tournament, and Johnny's going to be a father. And he's going to again one of the best scenes in the show was in season 2. It's when Johnny and Miguel, they're at the diner and they're talking about how he failed Robbie and on the first day of his life, and very much so this is like Johnny's the whole show. The main central theme of the show is redemption. So this is Johnny's big point of redemption, which he's already kind of done leaps and bounds with Miguel and his family. So we're very much, kind of going to we're going full circle with it here. So it feels like a natural place to start there. And also, again, we're kind of, we're showing episode 1 really shows Johnny Lawrence's growth, which I feel is very important. This is the kind of stuff that is bringing us back to the beginning, which is kind of the hallmarks of the show. This is the kind of closing the loop stuff that I really want to see in our last season, like showing how much Johnny's grown as a character.
Sure.
Without losing who he is, though.
Which is kind of a balancing act, I feel like, that this season is trying to pull off. Like, because Johnny is definitely more mature, but he's not really like the fun he doesn't have some of his fun, more quirkier qualities in the first couple seasons. You know what I
the
mean?
the key to Johnny Lawrence, which I do think we are doing here, but when we get the 3, you'll see it's a little frayed. The thing with Johnny Lawrence is that he's so close to a breakthrough. He's so close to like connecting the dots, but he just can't like click over. He just can't turn the key over. In
Right.
realizing, since the genesis of the show, it's the idea he doesn't realize he's Mr. Miyagi, and that's a great premise for the show. Like he's he's essentially he's the neighbor, but he's kind of like he's the handyman, so he's kind of the landlord character.
Mm-hmm.
The maintenance man, which is what Mr. Miyagi was in the apartment complex. And anyway, so in regards to naming the dojo, so this was always like an irksome thing last season where, God, just name it Miyagi-Do.
Yeah, I will say that this is definitely the kind of black mark on this first episode. Is it really does feel like we're kind of spinning our wheels with trying to come up with conflict. I like Chosen a lot. I do think he gets a little bit shafted this season. Like he's got a decent amount of screen time. I just think they kind of made his character into too much of a joke, which is a shame, especially because he had such a badass fight scene at the end of last season.
It is fun when we do mundane things with Chosen, though. I won't lie.
But I feel like that's all we're getting from him. I feel like Chosen has basically just become like every time we see him, it's just like, oh, he won't leave.
When we call that out, we call it that we've done all we can with Chosen. We're kind of stuck with him now.
I kind of feel like he should probably just go back to Okinawa at this point. I like because I kind of feel like the longer he sticks around, the more diluted his character becomes.
I mean, look, to be fair, okay, the stuff we do with Chosen in episode 1, I think compared to the rest of it, I think is kind of the most we do with him in that it's fun to see him mix it up with Johnny because, again, we take 2 of the bad guys from the Karate Kid franchise and we have them kind of face off. But again, we don't just play into it. We kind of add like a thing of there's fighting for the fun of it by the end of the episode. It's a nice turnaround on that. But also, while we do that, we do have a nice moment with Chosen where we see Chosen really, he doesn't have anything but Miyagi-Do. Like, it's the only thing he has left when he thinks that Kumiko has kind of rude. I still think maybe the message didn't deliver. I think it's going to be like a kidding reveal. Like, he
Dragon, once again, we're stuck on phone call drama.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm not saying it's the best way to go. I'm just saying, as far as what we have presented before us, I'm thinking that she just didn't get the message. I think that she would. I don't know.
Dragon, nobody checks voicemail anymore.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think she, I think she just didn't check the message.
Send her a heartfelt text.
That's the thing. I just think he hasn't hasn't thought of like just texting her.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, so again, it's obvious. It's obvious. It always felt like Miyagi-Do's made sense, and that would have been just Johnny just kind of like growing up and accepting the Miyagi-Do of it all. But again, the central conflict of the show just keeps rearing its head, and again, by season 6, it gets a little tired. Admittedly, it's just Johnny makes actual progress, or like he's very close to a breakthrough, but the only thing that's going to get him, like he's like 75% of the way there, but the other 25% is Daniel LaRusso just can't give Johnny an inch. She just can't just like, just like show him a little respect instead of like rolling the eyes and scoffing all the time. Daniel, just like the moment of like, okay, just don't.
Russo is kind of a stick in the mud in these first few episodes.
Yeah, he is, and it's the thing of like you take basically it's a bit of this season, but also like 5 episodes of the last season, where it's just like if you would just cut him, like give him an inch, like instead of the whole like they do like the breakup of the 2 dojos with the whole like. We reference the gag in the in the original Karate Kid with the shower prank, where basically he instigated with the bullies and that led to him, the tournament and everything. It's just the fact like, hey, I led them all to that field and so they got sprayed with the sprinklers and that led to Hawk, getting his mohawk shaved off, as revenge. So that anyway. The point being, we had a really hackney like breakup of the combined dojos in last season, which was that was all honestly the biggest problem with season 4. So we're doing a little bit of that lightly here this season, which I'm not fond of, but it's.
I feel like the show is more self-aware that Daniel's being a dick this season.
I mean, yeah, it kind of feels like that. I think the reason being, when we get into the whole Miyagi mystery thing, is a little off, but
Oh yeah, it
we'll
is.
get
But we'll
there.
get there.
We'll get there. Okay. Anyway, so just something to mention: the Miyagi fan gag was really funny. Though, it's the idea of like Dimitri and
Yeah,
Eli
like the
were,
blatantly racist caricature.
yeah, but again, unintentional. This thing, he's giving them
Unintentionally,
thanks,
but still, like anyone who
very.
sees that is going to be like,
Yeah, it's the old, it's the old Tojo kind of thing. It's not
right.
good. Anyway, but again, I just love it in the modern context. They're not thinking of that at all, and then like just Johnny isn't picking up on it. But the minute like Dan brings like, oh yeah, you're right, we can't we can't do that. Okay, let's see. So Stingray. So Stingray's usage, yeah, I love that. If we're going to use Stingray, you're going to use them sparingly. I think we used them just right in this first episode.
I agree. I was so happy to see him pop up again, and I think it's great to see him kind of like in a really good spot in his life.
Yeah, so the idea that Stingray he's kind of trying to copy what Johnny's whole arc in the series is like, I'm going to bring Cobra Kai back, hopefully with Johnny by my side. He brings it. So I love that we nudge Johnny in the right direction for the lesson here about legacy. And just the fact that it's the last season, and we put him on this journey, and we're putting this journey into perspective with what do you want, and like Stingray has a good point. Like, you know what? Now's your opportunity. You could actually redeem the name Cobra Kai, but he's outgrown it. He doesn't want to bring it back. He has to.
Right.
That's the big thing. Where if he chose the name Cobra Kai, or if he fought for Cobra Kai in this hackneyed fight, it would have set him all the way back to season 1, and we would have undone a lot of progress. But I love that it was a thing that would have made sense to him, and he would have glommed onto. But I love that we have this scene, and he does take to heart what he says, but he takes away the right lesson from it. Like it greases the wheel, but then he goes his own way.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Anyway, let's see. So again, I love that he came to that decision on his own. And then he just kind of gets to the thing with Chosen. We're like, no, we're still going to fight. Just why not? Why not fight? It's like,
exhibition match.
Yeah, we're karate buddies. Yeah. That's why okay, so let's talk about the other
karate guys.
Yeah, karate dads.
That's a song from the pop star movie that I keep wanting you to see.
Okay.
Anyways, Little Blue, really quick. He's asking if you can. He's asking if you can get into this show without having seen the movies.
Honestly, I think so.
Absolutely. Little Blue, I still have yet to see any of the Karate Kid movies. Not even the first one. I'm sure I've seen bits and pieces of the first one on TV, but I've not watched the whole thing. Yeah, I think this show's very accessible without having watched it.
I think because they use all the clips that you need. They're all there.
Right.
That's the thing. You would be lost if you realize that, wait a minute, the really big event of John Kreese trying to kill Johnny Lawrence after that tournament, like that technically does not happen at the end of the first Karate Kid movie. That's the opening of Karate Kid 2.
Right.
Because again, that was their ending in the script, but they bumped it to the second movie. It was like a whole thing. Anyway. So I want to talk about Kenny Payne. So Kenny Payne is somewhat the Payne in the show side, where Kenny Payne was a remarkable. The actor who plays Kenny Payne did a remarkable job. A lot of people have thrown out the whole hey, he could be Miles Morales, which I mean, there's some good there. He's a good actor. I could see him, and I think the way him growing up too is kind of fed into that even more. But Kenny Payne,
not like how he ends up at the end of this.
I know. We'll get there. Hey, let me lay it out. This whole Tiki, it's the season of setup. I got to do some setting up.
Yeah, I know.
So Kenny Payne, he was the best holdover from season. He was the best thing to come out of season 4, the Kenny Payne arc. He was great.
Agreed.
Great actor, great arc. The idea that we kind of link a student with our sensei, so he was very much the Terry Silver, who was also a real good part of season 4. He was very much the link with Terry Silver. Mm-hmm. Now, it's hard to be. Here's the issue: it's really hard to redeem Kenny because you want him just to listen to Robbie. He just won't listen to Robbie at all, which is just so frustrating. We have the dumb batting cage fight, which is well choreographed, but it's just very.
You don't like
forced.
The batting cage fight?
No. Look, I want to be clear. I like the batting cage fight. It's still dumb because we don't need the batting cage.
No, you're right, but it's awesome.
Yes,
I thought it was really well choreographed.
That's what I'm with. That's what I'm saying. I like it. I just don't.
I gave an audible hell yeah when Miguel catches the ball out of when it gets pitched.
No, he punches the ball, Tiki.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which is even better.
Also, really quick, I want to just shout out the batting cage scene was filmed at Fun Spot Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
You know because of the roller coaster that's in the background, which is a pretty new roller coaster.
So that's what I'm saying. Look,
So that kind of threw me off a little bit though, because it's like, oh, okay, we are definitely not in LA right now.
Well, that's the thing. So I do love, even if it's more implied, if you want to track the coasters and everything. I just like the idea that we're still like in like golf and stuff mode, like at the arcades and everything. We're still hanging out like in kind of these boardwalky kind of like kind of places, So I still love that kind of locale, like where the kids hang out. That's exactly where I would hang out. I love that.
I'm pretty sure they're implying that it's still the original golf and stuff, which it's definitely not. Maybe the arcade stuff is just not the batting cage.
That's the thing. Plus, a lot of time has passed too. Like when they're in the arcade, it looks pretty. One of my favorite deals, like inside the arcade, I've seen so many of those in the arcade when I went to Atlantic City. So there's a lot of like my favorite one being, I think you see it again in this episode. I think because it was in there before when they went to the location, so they might reuse. I don't know, but it's like it's this giant wheel and you pull it down. It's like there's like a frog and a lily pad, and you win tickets depending on what it lands on. It's a lot of fun. Big old handle you pull. Anyway, so the point being, Kenny despite that scene being a really fun scene, it's a good fight. Don't get me wrong. He just feels very forcing. Like, come on, like we don't need like. So Kenny's brother Sean is at a juvie, and he's just like, no, don't listen to them. And ultimately, he's like, hey, you know what? You should listen to them.
It like literally took them like maybe an hour before Sean just totally changed his mind.
That's the thing. It's just very clear that yes, Robbie left. And that's not good, but Kenny, he didn't tell Kenny to come. Well, he did say to that class, "Hey, you guys should leave." It's not his fault that Kenny didn't come with them.
Right.
Yeah. He did try and tell Kenny, like, "Hey, follow me." Or if Kenny was supposed to follow his lead, he should have followed his lead and left.
I honestly think this whole storyline would have played out a little more smoothly if they just left Sean out of it.
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like it was just like they wanted to put Sean in there just to be like, look, he still exists.
Yeah,
this minor character from season 3.
Yeah. It was always weird to me, like, that here's the thing, I like, as much as I like Kenny Payne, the link to Kenny Payne and Robbie is always like, yeah, that guy who beat you up, you kind of formed some camaraderie with, I'm his younger brother.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt like, okay.
I honestly feel like there's a little bit of a Star Wars issue where it's like everyone is related to everyone to a certain extent.
Yeah. All right, anyways, that brings us to episode 2.
All right, episode 2, The Prize. All right, I'm going to say it right now. The crease stuff in this episode is fucking ridiculous. I genuinely kind of hated it.
Really? You didn't like the crease stuff?
I hate Dragon. It was so cartoony. I just did not buy into it. The whole
thing.
Okay,
well, you mean the Vision Quest thing?
The Vision Quest stuff. Yes.
Okay.
The stuff with him in Korea is fine. I actually think that I think the Korea setup, like with the student in particular, and I believe we get that set up next episode.
Yeah, that's next episode.
Yeah, that's really compelling. No, it's just the Vision Quest thing. First of all, these Vision Quests, man, it's a trope that I'm just sick of. I'm sick of seeing it played out. It felt exactly like the Luke Skywalker Dagobah cave and all that other
Well, that's shit. Exactly what it's supposed to be.
No, I realize that, but it's like just because they're paying homage doesn't mean I want to see it. I'm fucking sick of it. Dragon, basically, if anything, if any media parodies or homages the original Star Wars trilogy at this point, I just think it's played out. I just think it's tired. I'm fucking sick of it.
So I like that we pay off John Kreese and Sensei Kim, Kim Dae-un, I think is what her name is. Like, like the female sensei who basically was disappointed. Hey, wait, where's John Kreese? It's just Terry Silver I'm stuck with this season. I like that we paid that off. I love the flashback. I love, she was loyal to Kreese because he was nice to her, and he basically, kind of campaigned for her to be trained by her grandfather, Master Kim.
The flashback stuff is specifically what makes season 2 my favorite season, honestly.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is just we continue the whole
Yeah.
John Kreese flashbacks there. So,
Yeah.
so the idea, she's. I love that all of that. Speaking of which, Dig, I love that all that does stem from what we learned in that initial season 2 flashback stuff. Is that well, I guess wait a minute, season 3. Dig, that's when we get all the flashback stuff.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
My
3.
bad.
I know it's confusing because you want it because John Kreese introduced it to. That's why you want it.
Right.
But yeah, so
honestly, I'm probably going to do a full series rewatch before the end.
Yeah, well, I did that before this.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So yeah, she's. I love that. It really feels like John Kreese. He has a. He'll never admit it, but he has a soft spot for women because of how his mother died.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
And then of course, how his girlfriend died. So I think like the death of women really affected him. So I think that's why he's like nice to nice to her when she's a kid.
Also, Tori too. That kind of extends to Tori.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Plus, I mean, he really again every sensei getting a specific student gear. His is Tori because one, he feels Tori's pain because Tori has a sick mother, which of course we see how that ends up this season.
Sure.
Or this section, or however.
I've got a bone to pick with Netflix about that, but we'll get into it.
Right. Okay, regardless. So all that's good. The idea, the plan, Kreese's plan was to revive Cobra Kai and then strengthen it by bringing in, the basically the root of Cobra Kai, basically the way of the fist kind of teachings, basically bringing like the lifeblood of Cobra Kai from overseas with her. That was what his original plan in the series was before Terry Silver, exploded everything.
Right.
And before Johnny Lawrence, fought him on it. So that's essentially what the plan would have been. Like me and Johnny Lawrence, we would have brought it back, and I'd bring in like my other pupil, and it would have been great.
Mm-hmm.
Tang Soon Do and all that. All right, but yes, so the cave. So the very Star Wars Vision Quest, very intentionally, as we've already discussed. It's I feel the end.
Honestly, I think if they would have just played this out as like just Kreese having to fight the snake without the Vision Quest stuff, I would have liked it a lot more. Like, I can get behind Kreese having to fight a Cobra. That's cool. It's just the Vision Quest stuff is where I'm like, this is getting a little cartoony.
I mean, look, on one hand, we did it better at the end of last season. That's the main thing I want to highlight there, is that John Kreese, like in therapy, and he's hallucinating he's kind of imagining the conversation. He's still the same. The conversation is happening with the therapist, but he's imagining the people that she's trying to get him to think about across from. And then we had the really impressive moment of we had an actor who's very similar. It's like not de-aging, but it's very good casting of a younger Johnny Lawrence across from like 80s. Johnny Lawrence. It was really impressive. So the way we did that was basically what they were kind of doing here, but more in Star Wars capacity, which not as effective, nowhere near as effective. And
I'm not gonna lie, it took me a couple different sittings to even get through this episode. I thought the stuff in the cave was so dumb.
Plus, that's the other thing too, where it feels like he was having some genuine catharsis in therapy. Of course, it was all kind of a ruse ultimately, but still, it's the fact that we had that there and him dealing with his feelings towards Johnny Lawrence, and here the payoff being, I'm going to kill my weakness in the form of Johnny Lawrence, and we're going to do it in kind of an action-y kind of way. It felt a little much. It didn't really bother me, but the idea Kreese is like killing his weakness, so he's doubling down the whole no mercy thing.
Right.
All right, so the other side of this episode, so that's the John Kreese side of the episode.
I'm not going to lie, I honestly kind of forget what the other stuff is. We have the house hunting in this episode, right?
Well, yeah, we have 3 things in this episode. We have John Kreese, we have the college frat trip, and we have the house hunting.
Oh, the college frat stuff. Right.
So that's the thing. So a big thing we're doing this season, which, I got to admit, it's kind of a trope in media I'm kind of getting a little sick of. Because, I don't know, rarely does it ever work, the whole college hunt thing.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's frustrating about that with Miguel in particular is that, like, we set up the whole, like, it'd be really hard for his mother to even afford Stanford, right? We set that up, but then he's acting like it's like do or die that he's going to get into Stanford, and Hawk's got the right idea. Hawk realizes that he should kind of broaden his options, It's honestly kind of frustrating that Miguel doesn't at least try to look into other options. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, man, that's kind of what he's doing now because they're going to like the Valley College, but he wants Stanford.
Uh-huh.
But that's the thing. It's just the fact that that's the plot lines. Me is the whole while they're in high school, they're looking at all the colleges and stuff, and it just seems to be kind of like a played out in the whole like stressing over all the different colleges and everything. It's just I don't know. It's just kind of like when you have like a teen show or like a thing where you have like younger protagonists and you're in like the late high school, you always feel like, oh, we're doing the college, they're doing the college admission thing.
Right.
I mean, Spider-Man's one thing, but then we're doing it everywhere else.
Oh, you're right. It did kind of start a little bit in No Way Home.
That's what I'm saying. No Way Home did it too. I mean, look, I'll give you Spider-Man, but it's just that's what I'm saying. Like,
well, I mean, Spider-Man makes sense for the character.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like if you're gonna do it, like Spider-Man's a big example of the coming of age story, so you got to do it with Spider-Man.
Sure.
It's just the thing. Every high school show, they always got to do that. They can't just be like, and we just went off screen, like, they picked a college. It's easily said and done. Like, okay, no, we got to do the whole journey and the whole the fretting. So, what do you feel? How do you feel about the whole the fret thing?
I honestly enjoyed it. I think it was a nice little. I don't know, Dragon. I'm kind of a sucker for the bad guy kind of turning a new leaf. I'm a sucker for that.
Yeah, so we had Kyler and Brooks.
Yeah. So I mean, I do think it's genuinely funny how flabbergasted Eli and Dimitri are about Brooks. Like that is some genuinely good comedy right there.
Well, again, the whole MIT
right. I think the actual miscommunication is pretty stupid, but like their reactions are like, them trying to figure out like how the hell did Brooks get into MIT?
Admittedly, that's a Frasier joke.
Is it?
Well, no, I'm just saying it feels a lot like a Frasier joke.
Oh, right. Yeah,
it'd be the misunderstanding of, okay, so he's gotten into a very prestigious school, and they're just like, wait, what?
But no, I really like the Kyler subplot in this episode.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is a nice full circle thing here with Kyler, who of course was the initial bully for Miguel. He gave him that. He still calls him the nickname. He calls him Maria. He's like he's come a long way. He's been in Cobra Kai, and he's out of Cobra Kai, and he still knows the lessons. But he's not like a bad guy necessarily, and he's we see him in a fraternity kind of like hazing sort of thing. He's being bullied, and Miguel kind of has him stand up for himself. Which is nice.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice little like one episode arc. I don't know. I really enjoyed it.
I've been saying it's a nice capper for it, showing how far Miguel's come, where he's kind of forgave and forgotten everything.
Totally.
Also, again, with
how
Brooks,
sad was it when the bully frat guy made Kyler get on the floor and do the vacuum thing?
Oh god, it was disgusting.
Yes.
Oh god, I was gagging there. Like, oh,
I was kind of thinking about you during that because I know that you have a little bit of a sensitivity stuff like that.
Yeah, just the thing of like for me, it's like that scene from Osmosis Jones. Like,
oh god, okay, it's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad, but because of that movie, now for me, it's like there is no 5-second rule. Okay, it's 1 second and it's dead. That's how. Okay, there's no 5-second rule. You have a millisecond, if any second at all. Usually, it's like the second it touches, dead. Okay, so anyway,
it makes you feel better. I'm sure that popcorn wasn't actually sitting on the floor for a long time. I'm sure they put it.
Yeah.
But anyways,
it's like the gum scene from Elf, but that doesn't bother. I'm just saying because that one I know for a fact that they put that gum under. That's probably a sanitized kind of thing, but still, it's like
right.
But let's face it, it's not that sanitized. Okay, anyway, so also again, Brooks. I love that Hawk and Brooks. I love that Hawk's like generally apologetic for like beating him near almost to death in the episode. Oh no, I swallowed a few teeth, but hey, it's karate rules. Okay, so Johnny, he's looking for a house, given that the Diaz place has been destroyed by a busted sewage pipe.
Which that was kind of brutal, and I've got to admit, like I feel like we set that up and then we didn't really go anywhere with it.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, like it seems like after that happens, it's like they're kind of just still living there just fine.
Well, no, they're in Johnny's place. Johnny's next door.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Okay, my bad.
I
My
was
bad.
surprised. Here's the thing. I thought, based on how the first episode opened, I thought they were all moved into either Johnny's place or her place. So it looks like there's at her place, but I guess he still has his place. So,
I guess
again,
so. I was a little
well, they're
confused
not
about
married.
that.
They're not married, and again, the place is like literally right
Right.
next door. And again, they have a. I guess if they need the space, plus Robbie comes over. I think that maybe that's the idea. Like,
Is Robbie living with them?
I mean, currently, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Listen, currently, yes. I think the idea is that the boys are going to probably might be going to college, so they might not be around anyway. So I don't know. It's
Sure.
okay. All the same. The point being, though, they need a house, and Johnny's kind of facing this realization that he's going to have a family. And, he should probably kind of hunker down and go get him a house. And I love so he and Chosen are kind of paired together here because the idea is that Chosen loves like house buying shows, so he'd be invaluable to have.
That's freaking adorable. Again,
Yes.
I really hope that Chosen gets at least one more like genuinely cool fight scene in this, before the show wraps up. But I do love me some casual Chosen. I'm not gonna lie. I do love it. It is part of the charm of his character.
Absolutely. Seriously, I just loved like his first introduction though, where he's still wearing the Hawaiian shirt and he's looking so intense, and he's like, I don't drink. I'll get you. I buy drinks. He's just like,
And then the honking the nose when he leaves. I'll never get over that.
God, that's great. All right, so again, I love this. So he's like the whole point of this half is that of this third is that Johnny Lawrence is trying to bring Miyagi-Do into day-to-day life, and LaRusso gives him like the pointer there, like, look, I can't. Chosen isn't getting paid, so I can't pay you, for being a sensei, so I can't really. He gives him a job as a car salesman reluctantly, which is really nice.
I've got a it's a minor nitpick, okay? It's a minor nitpick. I actually really like the idea that Johnny is a natural at salesman at sales, that he's a people person and he actually talks to them like they're real people. He doesn't try to bargain and everything. I wish we would have seen a little bit more of that though. I feel like we give him the job and then we don't ever actually see him like doing the job well. You know what I mean?
Well, we see him again. You're right.
We see him fuck it up.
You're right. Off screen, we have this lady just say, "Oh man, he's so good. He's talked me into this," and then it's like, "Well, let's see him."
I think that's a little bit of a buy. I like it on paper. I like the idea, and I do buy it as far as like his personality would be well suited to that. But yeah, I kind of wish we would have seen at least a little bit of the interaction.
Anyway, so while they're house hunting, Johnny kind of the insults the he and Chosen kind of end up insulting the house seller, like the broker, or I guess the realtor guy. And then Johnny, he ends up. This is really nice though. The guy insults him and he wants to pummel this guy. Justifiably, the guy's a real prick because he's saying like, I'll never let you have anything nice. And like insults his family and everything, so it's just really mean.
Basically like treating Johnny like a Hollywood agent, like blacklisting someone, like you'll never work in this town again, kid.
Essentially, yeah, and I love that it's just because of the misunderstanding when he just says, "Is that your van?" He sees like the Eagle Fang, and he's just like, "It's like, oh yeah, I knocked up my girlfriend, and like her grandmother smokes weed," and it's like,
Oh my god, I love that. Yeah.
so it's the fact that he didn't give Johnny a fair shake, but I love that this is really sweet, and this shows you the growth.
To be fair, I feel like literally almost everything Johnny said is a legitimate red flag. Honestly,
yeah. I mean, look, just because he knocked up the girl, that's not really a disqualifier. But it's
no, but it's just Dragon. It's the way you present it, though.
Well, of course, it's the way you present it. Yes, I'm saying you can't just.
And the grandmother smoking weed is probably the big issue because, like, if I know anything about tenants, like landlords and house hunting and stuff, Dragon, weed stinks up the place, obviously, and weed smells linger. So, like, yeah, that would be an issue.
That's a fair point. Okay, so regardless, I do love that Johnny. He talks to the owner of the place. Guy owns a few properties. He's an old schoolmate. Not someone it's mostly not someone he bullied. Just like kind of the guy who saw him in the tournament is probably around the high school or something. Like he's like an undergrad or not an undergrad. He's like not the senior, not the freshman. What's the one in the middle?
Sophomore.
Sophomore, probably sophomore. And anyways, this is really he's got like, oh yeah, the legend of Johnny Lawrence. Like, hey man, and just Johnny Lawrence just wears his heart on his sleeve and just like, I'm gonna level with you, man. I have a kid on the way. I just, I'm trying to do right by him. Just like, you know what, man? Sure. What's your credit like? And his love, he's like, just he gives him a shot. And it's like, it's not great, but he gives him a fair shot. Like, okay, look, just get your credit up. Show me some gainful employment, and I'll see what we can do.
Uh-huh.
So it worked out for Johnny.
All right. Is that about it for this episode?
Yeah. Let's move on to the next one.
All right. Episode 3. Sleeper.
Yeah,
all right, so let's start with the title thing of the episode. Let's start with the sleepover, which I honestly think the sleepover is both one of the most contrived plot lines over the first 5 episodes, but it also has some of the most adorable Johnny Lawrence moments in the first 5 episodes. I love him stealing both Robbie and Miguel's phone. That is just so fucking funny.
God. Here's the thing: it's just so the sleepover episode 3 is probably the trouble spot of the season. Him hosting a girl's sleepover is just.
I mean, that is just like I feel like the writers thought that would be a we don't care, but it's really not.
That's the thing. It somewhat feels like Johnny would be dumb enough that he wouldn't put the pieces together. Like how horrible that sounds. That he's
right.
Cobra Kai.
Honestly, I just don't buy that the parents would not be all the wise to it. You know what I mean?
Well, to be fair, I mean it's Tori's parent isn't really in any position to say anything, and you have Amanda LaRusso, who's never in the loop.
Well, that's true. But I'm saying Devin's parents, though. Devin's parents, I don't think they met them, but...
Well, you're right. It's her house, but they're probably gone.
All right.
That's the thing. It makes it even worse when you think about it. That's what I'm saying. But what's nice, though? I really do love that in pairing Johnny and Devin. Devin was like a new. Again, he's very pro Devin. I really like that. He's very. Devin's like a fun new addition. She's the Eagle Fang edition because they needed a girl for the competition, and he's really grown to her. So we should mention this too. A big reason why on earth are we doing a Johnny Lawrence hosting a girl sleepover episode? Well, the reason for that is we have this hilarious opener of the episode, which is the gender reveal bomb threat. I love this gag.
Great reveal of the Cobra Kai title with Daniel just covered in pink.
But I love the Lethal Weapon 2 gag. I just love the idea oh man, they got Murtaugh in the crapper. It's it's the idea no, don't move. It's the fact that there's it just feel like, oh my god, could someone have actually sent them a bomb? Mm-hmm. So it's just great. Just revealing that Johnny's going to have a girl, which is already kind of another bomb where he has no idea what he's in for.
I have a girl dad.
Girls are easy.
You're going to be a girl brother. What?
God. So, it's adorable how Johnny's kind of handling that and seeing Johnny kind of link, because Johnny rarely was ever linked with the female characters in the show. So this is a nice way of doing that. By the same token, though, he just feels very out of place.
Sure.
But again, we're building a bond with him and Devin, which again is kind of we're trying to set up the whole Johnny's kind of he's seeing what he would kind of like his daughter to be in Devin. I think is kind of what we're laying out there. That's very much kind of what he would the best version of his future daughter would probably be Devin, mm-hmm. Which is why in the next episodes he's going to be really protective of her. Anyway, so sleepover shenanigans. I mean, they're fun. Him eating the cucumber's pretty funny.
Like I said, I feel like it's a little bit contrived, but it's still fun. It still gives us what we want out of the character.
Yeah, actually, I was talking with a friend or something. I was binging Better Call Saul with some friends who haven't seen it before, and we were talking during it. And he mentioned it's episode 3, and we're he's doing he and Kim are late night doing having the cucumber slices over the eyes while they're Apparently, the cucumber is purely a decorative thing. Actually, doesn't do anything for the eyes. It's literally just for the trope of the whole you have cucumbers.
You know what? I assumed it was to keep the whatever the fuck face stuff out of the eyes.
No, it's purely aesthetic. That's the thing.
Okay.
It's just literally, well, at the very least, like it was like a misnomer that it actually like helped with like bags under the eyes or something. But in reality, it's just it's just the aesthetic. It's just it looks nice, and
Uh-huh.
maybe coincidentally it helps like keep the circular pattern on the eyes. I don't know.
Right.
Anyway, serves no purpose. So, okay. So, point being, the reason Johnny's doing the sleepover is, Tori and Sam have lost their edge fighting now that they've kind of like they're kind of letting bygones be bygones, but they haven't worked things out like Miguel and Robbie have when they nearly they're fighting to the death, getting it out of their systems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so the point being, he's trying to instigate some drama so they can kind of have that moment, and ends up kind of going that way. But they just have like a moment of catharsis afterwards. Not thanks to anything Johnny did, but they're alone for a moment, peeved at him, and then they kind of like, what? Yeah, you really hurt me with that, and you hurt me with that, and they kind of work through it, and they're good.
Mm-hmm.
It's thinking not super exciting stuff, but
All right. The Kree stuff I actually thought was pretty good.
Yeah, so the Kree, here's the thing. So the John Kree stuff is really solid in this episode.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we also get the Miyagi mystery in this episode. But let's focus on the Kree
Oh
stuff.
God.
So here's the thing. Aside from Kreese and dealing with his new students, it's very much a filler episode when you look at it, because the Kree stuff's the only big plot relevant stuff we get this episode.
I mean, we're introducing what I'm going to assume is going to be like a primary antagonist for the next 5 episodes.
I mean, you would have to assume, yeah.
Yeah.
So Kreese teaches, a talented, unruly student named Quan how to harness his gifts.
Uh-huh.
I love the detail. Like Quan can like kick like almost like a slice, like the top of a board that's a guy's head. That's really impressive.
And the actor's a real martial artist too, so a lot of that stuff was his own stunts.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, if you watch, there's like a 10-minute like behind the scenes thing after you finish the first 5 episodes, and they go into that a little bit.
Oh, nice.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so basically, Kreese kind of he ostracizes the kid, makes him like kind of gang up on him, and basically while he's ticked off, he basically uses the opportunity to say, "Hey, take that anger and take it out on your classmates," and basically gets them to beat everyone up.
Uh-huh.
And again, that's we're setting up the danger of the Sekai Takai.
Right. Okay, so yeah, let's get into Miyagi's mystery box.
Oh, God.
What's in the box?
Well, apparently false identities.
Okay, Dragon, this to me, out of all the plot lines in the first 5 episodes, it feels the most like, yeah, we don't really know what to do. We're kind of just spinning our wheels. We're kind of past our prime.
Yeah, this is the most padded part of the whole this part of the season.
Yeah.
So it feels forced. I don't think it's fully clear what the heck's going on. It's basically, it looks like there was it's like an attempt to add some gray to Miyagi, just given the fact the whole show's about the gray between our good and our bad sides. Here, like in the whole point, we're adding gray to Cobra Kai, and we're also adding gray to Daniel LaRusso, which has been kind of the whole point of the series. And now it's like, what's the one thing we haven't really added gray to? Well, Miyagi's been very much on a pedestal, so they wanted to kind of show, Miyagi wasn't perfect. Which, here's the thing. We already did that in a really great way back in season 3 when Daniel went to Okinawa.
Right.
And he learned that the whole defense thing, where like defense only actually had like a secret technique that could paralyze people and potentially kill them.
Right.
So that, to me, that's enough. That's the moral gray for Miyagi right there. We don't need to do any more. And we just kind of like, and he had a fake ID, and he was like part owner of like a gym, like a boxing gym for some reason. And later on, we're gonna realize, and he was also in the Sekai Takai. Look, that should have been your solo Miyagi reveal. You find a box, and you find, wait a minute, I've seen that headman before. He was in this tournament. That makes this tournament even more exciting. That's all you need. You don't need anything else. That's all you need.
Honestly, it's like, what are we even fucking trying to do here with like showing that Miyagi has some sort of shady past. It's like, dude, like, can't we just leave well enough alone with Miyagi? You know what I mean?
Plot-wise,
Do
Tiki,
we
the
really
only
have to go
reason
down this like deconstruction route with him?
the only reason that's there, as far as I can see, at least based on these 5 episodes, it's there just to give, like, show Daniel's really sensitive about something. Johnny's going to overstep, and then they're going to, that's going to cause a breakup. That's all. That's the only reason it's there, which is dumb.
No, I mean, you're right. I just think that there's absolutely better stuff that they could have done to make Daniel kind of go off the deep end. That isn't basically like kind of shitting on a legacy character.
Yeah.
All right, is that about it?
Yeah.
Okay. So episode 4 is honestly probably my favorite of the 5. I don't know about you, man, but I really felt for Devin's plight this episode. I like the moment that really got to me was the moment where during the capture the flag thing, she does get a flag, but Johnny and Barnes are too busy arguing and they don't see it. And then they do see when she gets a flag taken from her. I'm like, oh, come on. That's such BS. I don't know. Dragon, it really resonates with me. It kind of reminded me of in Inside Out 2, the whole like not ready yet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It really resonates with me when characters are like not given a chance for seemingly no reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Seemingly like arbitrary reason. So yeah, I don't know. I really like this a lot. I also think it's funny that right at the beginning of the episode, we basically just get the purge of red shirts.
That we do.
It's like, okay, anyone who doesn't have a plot line, get the fuck out.
And to be fair, we do like Bert, I like to think, but we can't really do much with him. So I was like, no, he's not going to the second attack. I gotta get that kid out of here.
Can you imagine if he did?
Yeah, that's the thing. I love that we kind of like there was like that joke in the other one with the seance board. Do you think, basically, do you think we call him Muscles now? He used to be Penis Breath, but that guy. Do you think he's gonna win the second attack guy? And he's like, no. Anyway, so yeah, this is the big Sekai Taikai prep episode with bring back Mike Barnes, who, by the way, I heard something really interesting. The actor who plays Mike Barnes, he was supposed to get surgery, and he postponed it so he could be in the show for an episode.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's gonna have like rotator cuff surgery. So I'm going to imagine not the fight scenes. I would like to think, otherwise that'd be really reckless. But I like to think it was like literally just like the big, like that scene might have been shot later or something, like the one-on-one fight that he's got. But anyway, yeah. So they're sorry. Basically, we're using Barnes to narrow things down to 6 fighters. And I think it's a great idea, and he's a neutral party, so we don't have to worry about the whole favoritism thing, at least not yet. And it's a fun connection that's not just like chosen again. We had Mike Barnes in the last season in a really memorable way, and there's like his whole business was ruined. This poor guy just keeps getting stuff taken away from him. I gotta be honest. At the end of the day, what I'm kind of hoping happens, I'm hoping that Johnny and Mike Barnes kind of like go into the furniture business together.
That'd be amazing. I'd love that.
Because think about it. No, think about it. They do get along, and Johnny he has put together furniture. We saw him put together like the new couch and everything for the baby. So he does. He is handy. Remember he was putting up TVs.
Though I'm not gonna lie. I'm slightly worried. That they're going to end the next batch of episodes. So episode 10 is going to end with Johnny getting killed.
Wait, what?
Just because they're really hammering in the whole, like, he's going to be a new dad thing and everything. And I don't know, like, I feel like it would be really bold. And it would also just be like, if Kreese somehow orchestrated it. I don't know. I feel like that is a trump card they could play for drama.
I mean, look, Tiki, they could have killed him off last season during that big fight, but no, they're not going to kill off Johnny. Come on.
Well, they're not going to kill him off before the last season, but I could see them.
I would say, think about this, okay? They could have killed Chosen last season. We took a big slice out of his back and everything. He would have been a goner last season.
They probably should have killed Chosen.
That's the thing. Look, we love them, but that's the thing. It's like we can't kill off characters now. If anything, we can't even kill off John Kreese and have a stick. He's got to come back.
Fair enough. I mean, I don't think this show has killed off anybody.
No. Well, they've killed 2 people off.
Who's the one besides the one in episode 5?
Well, this is sad, but one of Johnny's buddies, who in real life that actor did actually.
Oh, die. That's right. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
You know, it's funny though. I meant to look into this. We have a gag here where we mentioned that Dutch, like the fanboy from high school. He asked, "Oh yeah, I mean, I knew Dutch. Yeah, Dutch is in prison now. I wonder if something happened to that actor in real life." And that's because when we brought back Johnny's Friends, Dutch, I'm pretty sure Dutch was not one of those guys. And Dutch was I forget if Dutch was the one who actually crippled Daniel or not. I can't remember if that was Dutch or Tommy. Anyway, so what was I getting? Oh, anyway. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna kill anyone off, but who knows? I guess.
You know what I do think this episode does a really good job at is I think it does a really good job of kind of sowing the seeds for the tension that's going to be in the actual tournament. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like the fact that we're going to have both Eli and Dimitri there, because I think their storyline is definitely the most interesting meat that we get out of the college stuff.
I mean,
in my opinion.
Well, look, I love Eli and I love Dimitri, but I think we're really lingering on the whole like MIT thing with them. I mean, I don't know because
Eli calls it out though.
He does, but it's a thing where they until like them going to college this season in that frat episode. I don't think they ever really mentioned MIT. Maybe
I don't think they have. I don't think so.
Blue Moon, yeah. But it just feels like I don't think he's been talking about MIT left and right until like this recently. I don't know. It felt a little out of left field. I just think it's a little.
I do think it's compelling though, as far as like what.
No.
I'm sorry. I do think it's compelling just as far as Dimitri basically uses that kind of like cheap move on Eli of kind of faking out the truce. So I don't know. I think there's something there. I think there's something there. And then let's talk about the kind of the brown elephant in the room.
Okay. Well, real quick.
Okay.
Just with Hawk and Eli though, again, it feels like yes, I like that there's tension in the friendship and them going there. I just wish it was for something more than just like you're not going to the same college as me.
No, I agree. That's stupid, but I don't know. I honestly wish they would have made a bigger deal out of the fake out.
I mean, honestly, I wish it was
like
just
I do like the idea of Dimitri becoming the more dirty fighter out of the two of them.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. I just wish it was maybe more over the girl or something than it was like MIT.
Right. I feel that.
Okay, so yes, so we did Kenny dirty this episode, big time.
Literally.
Yeah. Okay, so it's just really
like
weird.
The conflict of Devin cheating. I just wish we got there in another way.
I mean, here's the thing: we set it up. Actually, there's a couple things, and here's the thing. Episode 4, I'm with you on like the whole like we're thinning the herd, and we have Mike Barnes in there, and like we're kind of setting things up in a nice way that like the fun little challenges, all that's working. There's a very kind of race for your life Charlie Brown component to the Saikai Taika I'm looking forward to. That said, I'm just if we're made a couple of missteps, and all of it's linked to Kenny. Which just makes me feel bad because I really like that character and I like that actor. It feels like we're stuck with Kenny because the whole thing with Anthony was a really messy scene where there's a lot of tension between him and Anthony. Anthony's trying to mend fences, but Kenny's not having it, understandably, because he was his bully. And there's that thing where, okay, they're capturing the flags. Anthony clearly got a bunch of flags, pretty much all off him. And we saw that he had him they just put him in his gi, and he gets like punched in the face, and he gets a nosebleed. He had this really clunky scene where like Mike Barnes like, "Hey, good hit, Kenny," and then like Dan's like, "Hey, what are you kicking my kid while he's down?" He just said, "Nice hit, Kenny." He didn't like say anything more than that.
I think what Daniel was talking about was when Barnes was like, "There's no way you're making the team now." Obviously,
yeah, maybe. Even if that's right, I don't know. Even if that's true,
even if
it
that's
felt
right,
really.
it's still a little bit of a strong reaction from Daniel.
It just felt really, it just felt clunky. And the thing that really bothered me, drove me nuts. I wonder if it drove you nuts. Was he had a whole bunch of flags and he went inside when they're doing the whole deliberation thing. Like, wait a minute, he had a bunch of flags. He might have actually qualified.
Right.
Like we don't talk about that. But plus, did it feel like if you lose all your flags, are you disqualified? Even if you caught other people's flags, like how does that work?
The way I read it is I feel like it's just you just have to get the flags, no holds barred. Like
That's the thing.
yeah.
Also, fun fact: I really appreciated the flag game because when I took a karate class back when I was a kid, there were the capture the flag games.
Nice.
Yeah, mind you, it was capture the flag, but more like the third act of this episode with less brownouts. I'll have you know. But yeah, it was basically you toss like these awesome foam disc, like batarangs practically. You toss these little disc and you try and run across the other side and you capture the flag. It was really fun.
Cool.
Anyway, yeah, so we do that. We have like this real clunky thing. Like I'm never good enough for you, and I've never liked the Anthony character. Last season was like the most I've ever liked him. It's just a problem character that we
And
yet
then
again
this
are
season,
stuck
it
with.
feels like he's kind of taking a little bit of a step back.
Yeah, and again, it just feels like kind of like Kenny, but a little worse than Kenny, depending on how you look at it. We're stuck with him.
And I also feel like Daniel is being like a little bit too like, yeah, he can compete. It's like, no, Daniel, he just started.
Yeah,
he's clearly a beginner. Come on now. You're clearly showing a bias here.
More than with Devin. Devin can at least handle herself.
Yes,
Devin
absolutely.
learned.
Devin is skilled. Yeah.
Devin learned from Cobra Kai. She learned from the Taekwondo. She learned. Anyway, so we set up this whole laxative thing, which is already out of left field. Like, okay, look, even if he's
it was basically
bonded up,
Chekhov's laxative.
yeah, no, absolutely it was. And it's a mystery because Anthony was there during that joke, and then Kenny blames Anthony, and then he thinks like there's favoritism going on there, which is unfair to LaRusso. I don't know. It's a whole thing. But here's the thing. So all that's one thing. We really did Kenny dirty by having him, not make it to the porta potty. That was uncalled for.
Yeah.
We didn't need to do that. We should have let him just run in there at the end of the gag, or he just
Oh
went
yeah,
behind the rock.
absolutely. We should have just had him run in there. I totally agree. I feel like we literally just like all his character development is kind of down the tubes now a little bit.
Plus, I mean, I don't know. It just feels like he was already like the outsider. It just feels like we're like bullying him while he's in Miyagi, which feels like, no, I don't want to do that story now. I don't want to do the whole thing. If I'm not welcome anywhere. This is a mistake.
Right.
Sean, everyone's being mean to me.
Oh my god. Ugh.
I don't want that. Anyway. So yeah, of course, the big reveal, and I love how apologetic she is. Like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Kenny," but she feels really bad about what she did.
But but as soon as she started apologizing, I was like, she did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and my heart goes out. Johnny's going to be so crushed when he learns this.
Yeah.
All
right. Next one we got best of the best. This honestly might be Daniel LaRusso's worst episode of the whole series.
Yeah.
The stunt he pulled by leaving Johnny at the dealership to give Robbie and Sam a private training. Are you fucking kidding me, bro?
Yeah, it's dirty pull.
Or I'm sorry, it's Miguel and Sam, not Robbie and Sam. My bad.
Yeah, Miguel and Sam.
Yeah. Like, and also, I really feel like Daniel's being a little bitch about Johnny. And honestly, with the Johnny, what do you think of Johnny kind of like slipping back into his old ways because of the competitive thing? I think it's actually kind of realistic.
I would agree.
They play it a little cartoony, but I think like, I do think that it makes sense that you would for all the characters, not just Johnny, but for all the characters, it makes sense that the tensions, like for Robbie and Miguel, for example, it makes sense that tensions would kind of like bubble back to the surface.
Yeah, okay, so the scene itself where Johnny's like he's quitting very publicly and trying to do a Jerry Maguire thing, like I'm starting my own dealership. Who's coming with me? It's funny.
Which is the only time that we get Louis into Noosh.
Yeah. Okay, to be fair, the Louis scene's really funny. Where Louis like, I can't stand. But what are you offering? Like,
A Noosh is like, I'm on a very important phone call, Johnny.
Yeah, that's great. So, but as I'm saying, I wanted to see more of like him working with these guys at the dealership. That would have been really funny.
But
we have
Liz E in the comments saying this series has never really addressed Daniel's control issues.
Well, the problem is we address it and then we don't do anything with it. It's like we point out, Dan, you got control issues. Yeah, I do, and then we're just gonna keep going.
Okay, Liz D says you'll get the show better if you see the movies, especially later seasons when characters from the sequels pop up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true, but like Dragon said, you literally see flashbacks to the actual movies to explain who these people are. So I think you'd be just fine. And I think if you enjoy the movies, you'll definitely enjoy the show. Yeah. Anyways. All right.
So I think Amanda really saves that idea, though, where Amanda, like, she talks him off the ledge, and like she's not actually like going to let Johnny quit or like fire him or anything. She's even keeled about it. It's like, okay, yeah, he was a little silly, but we're not going to like let him quit if we can help it.
Mm-hmm.
So
we'll double back around to talk about like the big event that opens this episode.
Yes. So well, okay, I get. Well, it's kind of we're going to combine. You tell them.
So I honestly, Dragon, I do feel like this is handled pretty well, just as far as like it's realistic where the Tori's mother is doing better. She's kind of she's on the mend. We're kind of weaning her off of the medication, and then something freakish happens that has nothing to do with the cancer or anything. That is so fucking realistic.
It was utterly
the scene of Tori like finding her mother just dead on the floor. Dragon, that is my fear when it comes to my grandparents. That is how I do not want them to die.
You can trust me. I speak from experience. You do not want that day to happen.
No, I feel that. I feel that. Yeah.
And it happens the way you saw it. That's exactly how it happens.
Oh man, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's again. That's the whole like that's not pretty. So that's what I'm saying. The way they shot that was I love with how we framed with the pill drop. I thought that was a really good idea. So that in terms of how you reveal that, like that's a reveal. Like that was very, it was a very strong reveal.
The only bone I have to pick is that Netflix literally kind of spoils it. Like if you read the episode description, it reads, a member of Cobra Kai struggles with their loyalties after a tragedy. And the episode opens with like, oh, the mother's on the mend. I'm like, okay, the mother's definitely going to die.
There you go. Yeah, it's sad. It's a heartbreaking scene. And, it's...
I mean, props to the actress because she's really giving it her all, man. It's like, I feel like that's coming from a real place. I don't know if it is, but...
How do you feel about the bottle cap thing? The flashback to the whole
I think it's a little hokey. It works, but I think it's a little too on the nose with the whole, like, yeah, girl power. Girls don't need boys to protect them.
Well, I mean, it's the whole, like, purple protective gem thing. What do you think? Is that nice or is that too hokey?
I like the gem thing. I just think the message around it is a little bit on the nose.
Well, they want to direct her into like why she's so into karate and stuff.
Sure,
so
sure.
Like teaching them. I thought this was cute though. The fact that she's drawing mermaids, and later on, that's why she takes the mermaid job when she's struggling for work.
That's true. That's true.
That was really that I thought was like a cute little like and that's why like she's taking it without like hating her job. Like she's dressing up like the mermaid thing. Of course, depends on how you look at it, because apparently I haven't watched on Netflix appropriately enough. There's this whole documentary about the seedy mermaid business. You know about that whole thing, right? Apparently, it was like mermaid parties.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I need to look into it.
I think it's a Vegas thing where it's like they have like it's like a whole like mermaid culture thing where they have like
definitely be a Vegas thing. Yeah, that seems like it would be a Vegas thing.
Anyway. So, anyway, so we kill off Tori's mom. I like that Kreese is there right before the event happens. You know,
Uh-huh.
which again I think is kind of it's the fact that plus he's taking a big risk by being there because again the reason he's safe overseas because they can't extradite. So when he's at the tournament, he'll be fine. That's the whole. That's kind of clever actually. You know, if he's at the
Sure,
psycho
sure.
psycho,
Yeah, he's basically pulling like a Brian De Palma.
I think you're thinking of Roman Polanski.
Oh shit, you're right. I am.
But
My
don't
bad.
like
My
don't
bad.
come on, man. The Palma
Brian
hasn't
De
done
Palma
anything.
is not problematic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's fine.
My bad.
He did Scarface, but he's fine. Anyway, so let's see. Okay, so the training conflict is getting old by season 6, with the two of them just like feuding and like going behind
Oh,
each
I'm
other's
sick
back.
of it. I'm so sick of it.
And Johnny's getting jealous of when he's teaching the kids and everything. So it's a whole we have the quitting the dealership scene and everything. So the rift between Daniel and Johnny is just dumb, and they just need to get on. For a moment, they're on the same page. The whole like, hey, I'll referee your boys, so you don't have to take sides, which is a really nice gesture, and like the fact that Daniel is again, it's like so simpatico to Jack. He's so close to making the smart decision here. Like, you know what? I'm gonna make it up to him. I'll call this round. You call that round. And I love the start of the argument before it takes a really stupid direction. I love the idea that they're in the middle of the fight. Amanda gets the call about Tori, and she has some history with Tori, so she basically, look, we got to call this fight. This isn't, you don't want her to fight like this.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And it's this messy scene in a good way. It's a messy scene in a good way where it's like Tori. It's a very uncomfortable thing where she's like confessing that her mom's dead, and she wants to work through. Which, I mean, again, from experience, you want to work through it a lot of the time. You want to just distract yourself. You want to go through it. And Johnny, I love Billy Zabka's performance here. This is what I love about the scene before Daniel
The
punches him.
scene where
Everything.
he literally slaps his head with both sides, slaps both sides of his head with his palms.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's what she needs to do. She needs to work through it.
That's great.
That honestly might be one of the single best acted lines he's ever done in this show.
That's the thing, is him pointing out like she needed that.
Right.
She needed that. You took that away from her, and so
Dragon, I have a tiny nitpick. Okay,
what?
Why would Danielle LaRusso, of all people, be the one to get that phone call?
You mean Amanda?
I'm sorry, Amanda. Why am I thinking Danielle?
I think you're trying to feminize Daniel Russo.
Oh my god, you're right. Oh, that's dumb. That's dumb of me. I'm sorry.
Okay, so Amanda gets the call because, well, I imagine Amanda did take an interest in Tori. Now, I don't think Tori would never let her pay her mother's medical bills, so it's a stretch. There was no next. Tori walked out, so there's no real other next of kin. So I guess somehow between seasons, Amanda might have been looking in. Amanda possibly would have gotten the call, but I don't know why. It's not a great reason, but she did know Tori, and she might have looked into the whole family situation. She might have done some stuff.
That's fair.
I mean, again, since Tori joined Miyagi-Do, maybe she and Amanda got a little closer. Maybe she would have let her kind of like oversee a few things. It's unclear.
Right.
So, either that or perhaps, I mean, this is a bigger stretch. The hospital might have seen, she's with Miyagi-Do with the karate thing, and maybe the phone calls go through. It gets, like I said, it's a stretch, but Amanda does know Tori, so if anyone's going to get that call, it's kind of a plot thing, but that's the only way you're going to get that. It's going to be through her.
Uh-huh.
Which makes a little bit of sense. Not a lot, but it makes a little bit of sense. Anyway, so here's the thing. Everything's going great in that scene dramatically until like Daniel just punches Johnny for making the Miyagi comparison, like that. Then we have yet again we're on episode 5, just like season 5. Sorry, not season 5, just like with season 4. We reached the episode 5 mark. The two of them fight, and then It's like, well, then we're dissolving things, but they're going through it. And after this tournament, I don't want to see you ever again. It's dumb.
Also, I forgot to shout out. I love Hawk's American flag mohawk.
Yeah, it's great.
Episodes. Yeah,
how great is that?
I also really felt for Hawk when he didn't make the cut initially, and honestly, I did kind of cheer when they put him in Tori's slot.
Yeah, that was right because we need to see Hawk. And plus, it would have been really sad if he did all that to his hair and he's not going to get to go.
It would just for the show, it would feel wrong if he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Plus, I mean, Hawk has always been like the breakout star, of the show with that because he's
Yeah,
like,
totally.
he's the colorful character of the bunch.
Uh-huh.
So so they go to the tournament, which I believe it's being held in Madrid, right?
Spain, yeah.
So I'm convinced, by the way, we're going to pay off because given the publicity of the Sekai Taikai and being in Madrid, I think Miguel's father is going to show up.
Ooh,
And
his biological father.
Yes, his biological father.
Oh God. Liz D says it's Barcelona that they're going to.
Well, that's the thing. So I don't know. But geography is never my strong suit, so forgive me. I don't know how far Mexico. I forget if it was literally Mexico City or not when we went there in season 5. I don't know how far that is from Barcelona. I don't know. But I don't know. It's the reason that he's heard about like the karate stuff. So I mean, he does not know that he is his son, but it would make sense that the publicity of this he might put 2 and 2 together, and then that might lead to some conflict.
We'll see.
I don't know. I'm saying we have extra.
You're definitely going to have to stretch out the conflict some way. So yeah.
Yep. Plus, he's a bad man, Tiki.
I forgot about that.
He's a bad man.
Okay, so yeah, and then we get the big reveal. Not only is Cobra Kai back, but Tori has pulled a traitor move.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I love how over the top and dramatic the score is when Tori steps out.
And again, it makes all the sense in the world she would go to Kreese, given that she knows that Kreese knows what she's going through with the loss.
Kreese is basically the closest thing she has to family right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, what's really sad? Her brother's going to have to end up with her aunt, which is just horrible. I
mean, she seems like a nice enough lady, but yeah, you're right.
Well, that's the thing. You don't remember. Her aunt was a money grubber. That's the thing. Like she was wanted the insurance and stuff from
Oh, you're right. Oh fuck. I'm sorry. I forgot about that. Oh,
that's what I'm saying. Otherwise, that would have solved Tori's problems if she was a nice lady.
Right. Oh yeah.
She wanted the whole thing of you better be nice to me or else when mommy kicks the bucket, and she got really upset with her and everything. So yeah, that's the thing. So her poor brother's probably actually no. Tori made a call to make sure her brother's gonna be with someone or something, but that's seems to be. I assume that's not the aunt, but that's the thing. Eventually, he's probably gonna have to end up with that aunt or something.
That is really sad.
So I guess the idea is Tori.
You would hope that maybe they'll have Tori be able to take care of the brother on her own by the end of the series.
Well, my guess is again, like I said, emphasis on the guess. We set up that the captains are going to be getting all the brands, and all the fame and glory. So I would imagine. You have Quan and you have Tori as Cobra Kai's captains for the male and female captains on the team, which basically would help Tori if she would win, because any sponsorship deals or anything or any publicity would fund a better life for her and her brother.
Yeah, Liz D's pointing out the same point right now.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, endorsed exactly. So that would, I imagine that would probably help. That's probably what the plan is, which is going to add some stakes where we might want Tori to win, but obviously,
Liz D also says, final episode, Daniel, Johnny, and Chosen have to take on the super old Korean guy.
Yeah, so Master Kim. Yeah, I love that even John Kreese is like, wait, he's alive?
Right.
The old guy who beat me up all the time, he's still alive?
All right, so any final thoughts?
Just again, look, it's a promising start, but not I wouldn't say it's not a firm 100%, which so rarely things are. It's better than 4. It's consistent with 5. It's just we're not I don't think we've quite reached the peak of the season. Yeah, we're starting the Seikai Taikai, and I hope we don't drag it out too long. But we'll next 5 episodes, but we'll see. I mean, it's solid, but it's not strong as stone, if you will.
Uh-huh. I feel like I said, I think people are dragging every review I've watched, which isn't much. I've watched like maybe 3 reviews. They're like, this is by far and away the worst stretch of episodes of Cobra Kai ever. And I'm like, guys, it's literally not the complete season yet. This is just setup. Like, calm down.
I think
I don't know.
I'm convinced they're going to regret 15 episodes. I am convinced that's going to happen.
No, I feel that. I do wish it was 10 episodes.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. We'll see.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Liz D says, I want this all to end in a mirror of what the bad guys were going to do in 3. Daniel finances a chain of Miyagi dojos, and Johnny runs them with Robbie. That would be nice.
That would be nice.
Although I do really like the idea of Johnny going into business with Mike Barnes.
Yeah, I mean, again, we know he's going to patch things up with LaRusso by the end. We know he's not actually going to go separate ways, but it does make you wonder.
Right.
But I'm saying again, he's got a back again. There's your spinoff there, Mike Barnes and Johnny Lawrence. They're making furniture together.
Oh, dude, I would watch the hell out of that.
Like this, it's like This Old House, but like with karate. It's like This Old House with karate. This Old Dojo.
All right, I think that's a good place to end off.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, so big thanks to Liz D. Oh, Dragon, I'm sorry. One more thing I want to mention, and I'm glad I thought of it before we signed off here. I really love how we saved the quiet until a pivotal moment.
Yeah,
I don't know. I thought that was really well done. Because throughout the first 4 episodes, I was like, we're not getting a quiet. We need a quiet.
Yeah.
All right, so big thanks to Liz D and Little Blue for joining us in the comments. We will be back soon with some Christmas and July stuff, a Deadpool debate, a Marvel debate, Deadpool and Wolverine SpoilerCast, all kinds of fun stuff.
There's a lot of stuff coming up, folks.
Yeah. All right, have a good night, everyone. See y'all later.
Cobra Kai never dies!